Hey, shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. I thank you again for joining me. Today, I want to talk about something you probably have never heard of. It's called the gap theory. Now, what is the gap theory? The gap theory is it's Genesis chapter 1, verse 1 and verse 2. It's saying from verse 1 to verse 2, uh, it was a time, like a separation of time, billions of years. You know, it's got that's how do you say it? It's in the beginning, Yahweh created the heavens and the earth, and then later on it says, is void, whatever, and look it up yourself. But the gap theory, there's okay. There's a thing. I know I got a lot of thoughts in my head here. Okay, you got the evolutionists that say there's no way in heck that the earth was formed and mankind on the planet in 6 literal days. Okay. The young creationalists say yes, that's what happens. But there's a middle ground. There's a middle ground there. And the middle ground is from the first verse, second verse, and even probably even the third verse. But it's like, it's reformed. It's kind of like, in the beginning, Yahweh created heavens and earth, and then it talks about how it's void, it's chaos, whatever. But anyways, I want to explain what the gap theory is, and to do that, I was going to write. I got the research in there. I was going to do it, but while I was reading a book that I recently got, they mentioned it, so I just want to read it from there to better explain it to you. I mean, I would explain it to you in scriptures and everything, but there's scriptures in here, and I couldn't have said it any better, really. But anyways, uh, I did a book review on this many days back, whatever. Jerusalem, the City of God by Jeffrey Gross. And I'm going to read the gap theory to you because he got it spot on. He nailed it. And like I said, the evolutionists and then the creationists, there's a middle ground. And I believe that so far. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to read this to you to help you out, educate you, do whatever. Okay. It says here, the gap theory. The Hebrew Bible possibly contains a vast period of time, perhaps 12,000 years, between the first 2 verses of the book of Genesis, known as the gap theory, which intended to reconcile the 6-day Genesis account of creation with the modern scientific theories on the age of the universe, the earth, and mankind. In the gap theory, the 6 days of creation were not 24 hours, but far longer periods of time, thousands or perhaps millions of years, suggesting our present world is built upon the ruins of earlier civilizations. According to the gap theory, the book of Genesis describes the recreation of earth, providing an explanation for geological evidence of Earth's reoccurring destruction and rebirth, which, of course, it's going to have asteroids, going to have floods, volcanic eruptions, stuff like that. After an extensive amount of time between the first 2 verses, Yahweh began a recreation which involves successive days. A day to Yahweh is like 1,000 years. The remainder of the first chapter of Genesis deals with the reconstruction of earth, not its original creation. The book of Genesis is referring to creation, judgment, destruction, and recreation. Genesis 1:1 describes Yahweh's initial perfect creation of the sun and earth 4.5 billion years ago, and earth eventually teeming with life, including modern mankind about 130,000 years ago, using the Hebrew word bara, meaning to create out of nothing, to conceive and produce something new which had not been in existence before. And Genesis 1:1 says, in the beginning, Yahweh created, or bara, the heaven and the earth. Now, Genesis 1:2 describes the earth after its initial creation was destroyed by some gigantic cataclysm event, such as a solar micronova, which occurs approximately every 12,000 years, creating in a state of devastation and ruin. The Hebrew word hayah means became or had become, and the Hebrew words Torah, torhu, and borhu means without form and void, lifeless, and Josek means obscured in darkness. The earth, which had been created into perfection, had become desolate and uninhabitable through divine judgment. Several groups of Jewish scholars, such as the Masoretes between the 6th and 10th centuries AD, who developed a system of vowel notations to standardize pronunciation of the Hebrew Torah, added a break in the narrative between Genesis 1:1 and Genesis 1 verse 2, indicating an extensive time gap. Ezekiel 28:15 says, "Thou wast perfect in the ways from the day that thou was created, till iniquity was found in thee." Genesis 1:2 says, "And the earth became desolate, hayah, and void, torhu, and darkness, Josek, was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Yahweh moved upon the face of the waters." Okay, according to the gap theory, in the remainder of Genesis chapter 1, God uses the Hebrew word asa, meaning to make out of pre-existing matter, indicating he was remaking and reconstructing the earth. It was not Yahweh's original creation, but his recreation. See if I got that page here. Yeah, I got it. More verses right here. Genesis 1:7, 16, 25 says, "And Yahweh made Asa, the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And Yahweh made Asa 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And Yahweh made Asa the beasts of the earth after his kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after its kind. And Yahweh saw that it was good." Genesis chapter 1, 28 indicates that those who remained of mankind after the earth's destruction should replenish the earth, indicating the existence of an earlier populated earth. Genesis 1:28. And Yahweh blessed them, and Yahweh said unto them, to mankind, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. According to the gap theory, throughout the remainder of Genesis chapter 1, Yahweh is describing recreation of the earth, not his original creation, but one of his several recreations. And here, Jeremiah 4:23-26 states, I beheld the earth, and lo, it was without form and void, and the heavens, and they had no light. I beheld the mountains, and lo, they trembled, and all the hills moved lightly. I beheld, and lo, there was no man, and all the birds of the heavens were fled. I beheld, and lo, the fruitful place was a wilderness, and all the cities thereof were broken down, and the presence of the Eternal, and by his fierce anger. And Isaiah 45:18 says, For thus saith the Eternal, this that created the heavens, Yahweh himself, that formed the earth and made it, he hath established it, he created it not in vain, he formed it to be inhabited. I am the Eternal, and there is none other. Genesis chapter 3 right here. Check this out. Yahweh is describing the fall of mankind and his exile from the Garden of Eden. Now, mankind is barred from paradise on earth. Genesis 2, verse 9. And out of the ground made the Eternal Yahweh to grow every tree that is pleasant in the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And the Eternal Yahweh said, Behold, the man is become as one of us, to know good from evil. And now lest he put forth his hand, and take also the tree of life, and eat, and live forever. Therefore the Eternal Yahweh sent him forth from the Garden of Eden, to till the ground from whence it was taken. So he drove out the man, he placed at the east of the Garden of Eden cherubims and flaming swords, which turned every way to keep the way of the tree of life. That's Genesis chapter 3, 22-24. In Genesis chapter 6, after seeing the wilderness of mankind, Yahweh brought his destruction. And Yahweh saw the wickedness of man was great on the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Eternal that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Eternal said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. But Noah grace in the eyes of the Eternal, Genesis 6:5, verse 5-8, says here, Yahweh found that the old antediluvian world had become corrupt and destroyed with its biblical flood, although he saved Noah and the 8 individuals in succession from Adam. For Noah walked with Yahweh. Number 8 signified the beginning of a new era. Genesis 6, 11-12. The earth was also was corrupt before Yahweh, and the earth was filled with violence. And Yahweh looked upon the earth, and beheld it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And then I'm going to go to 2 Peter right here, 2:5. And Yahweh spared not the old world, but saved Noah, The eighth person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly. So what we got here, my friends, is people always talk about the gap theory. Talk about, like I said, got the evolutionists over here, got the young creationists over here. There's a middle ground, and I'm firmly for the middle ground myself. Don't get me wrong, I do believe there was a between 1 and 2, verse 1 and 2, millions of years, whatever. That's my opinion. It's not a salvation problem. I mean, if I'm wrong with that, it ain't like I'm going to burn in hell or anything like that. But so far, and I'm still studying like you should be. Guys all should be studying like me. And that's all I got to say about that. I just wanted to give you a little lowdown on what is the gap theory. Because, I do see that on the, on the internet and whatever, atheists say, oh no, the world was created billions of years ago. Man's been around for a couple 100,000 years ago. But then you got the young creationists over here saying, oh no, it's all 6 days. And, but what do you think? That's all. I just want to know. Please comment below. Let me know what you think. It's a free dialogue here. Calm, free dialogue. What does your studies suggest, show, whatever for you? And anyways, that's all I want to say right now. I thank you again for giving me the opportunity, and thank you for inviting me into your homes and listening to me. But best you can do is give me a big thumbs up, hit that notification bell, subscribe. I'm going to come out with more stuff as usual. And I thank you again for joining me. Until we meet again, my friends, peace out and shalom.